All right, welcome back to another edition of Less Kevin, More Tech, UTECIT.com. And we're less and less Kevin, and we're here with Tom and myself. So
Good morning.
this is going to be a great discussion. We're welcoming Sherry Ekman with Midwest Diagnostic Imaging. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Tom Harrison.
And Tom Harrison.
With UTEC.
Yes, with UTEC. I think you've been on a couple of these before.
I have.
Yes. So Sherry, why don't you give us a little background about yourself, kind of how you, like what you did before MDI and what kind of led you there?
Okay. Well, I've been with MDI for 16 years. Before that, I was a medical transcriptionist for 15 years and an EMT with the ambulance base in Davison. And I started just working for MDI because it was owned by relatives, and they asked me to come in because they wanted somebody they could trust. And here today.
And so now you're the owner, right, of the company?
Vice president.
Vice president? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And you guys are based at Waterford, right?
Right.
Okay.
And where are you from originally?
Minnesota.
And what brought you to Michigan?
My husband was from here, so we ended up moving here, and I've just stayed here.
And you've been here now how long?
Oh, geez, 30 years,
Oh,
I
my.
think.
So now it feels like home.
Yeah,
Well,
it
good for
does.
you. So tell us about Midwest Diagnostic.
Well, we've been in business for 42 years. We started out and still are a mobile imaging company. Our techs and equipment go to doctors' offices. We lease them to them, so doctors' offices can provide these ultrasounds to their patients in the comfort of their office. It's really convenient for the patients to be able to go to their office, plus the practice gets to keep some income instead of sending the income out somewhere else. And then just recently, because I saw such a need, we started offering screenings where patients can come to our office and get screenings, or we go to companies and provide the screenings right there at the companies.
So you've answered, I think, one of the questions, and that is you do have an office that people can go to.
Yes.
But your business really evolved from going on location and doing it, correctly?
Right.
And when you say, is there a difference between, it sounds like you do CTs?
No, we
What
do
is-
not do
what is-
CTs or MRIs. We're strictly ultrasound and
Ultrasound.
echocardiograms.
Okay, and that's your primary technology?
Yes.
And so how effective are those results versus an MRI or something?
Well, it's your starting point. And usually before you can have an MRI or a CT, you have to have an ultrasound. So it's a starting point. And then if there's something found on an ultrasound, then your doctor can send you for an MRI or CT or further evaluation.
And so if I have these results, I could take them to my doctor,
Right.
and that's what you would do, take them to your doctor, and they
Yes.
would review them and look at them and decide a next step?
Yes. When we go to a doctor's office, we send the results usually the next day to the doctor's office, and they're all read by a radiologist and a cardiologist. And so they get the results. And then if a patient has a script from their doctor and they need somewhere to go, they can come to our office. We run everything through insurance. Or if they want to have a screening done, they can come and have that done too without a script.
Now, would there be any question from my doctor about the credibility of these tests?
No, they're all board-certified radiologists and cardiologists that read these studies, and all of our technicians are certified.
Yeah. And you've been doing this now for how long, remind me?
Well, 42 years,
And you've been with them.
16.
So what have you seen in your 16 years? Anything new?
Well, one of the reasons that we wanted to start offering the screenings is because we would see these patients go into doctor's offices, and they would have pain or some reason why the doctor would order these ultrasounds, and the results would come back with a huge kidney mass, liver mass, uterine mass. The echocardiogram would be abnormal. And all of this stuff could have been caught earlier if they would have came in for yearly screenings. When you have less invasive procedures, the prognosis would have been better. They would have had less time off work. It just would have
So
been
you're
better.
saying instead of them waiting till they have this pain to go in, they're getting this screening that's preventative,
Right.
right? So it's not reactive, it's preventative. So
Right.
to see, hey, could I have, like, I'm looking at the list and the different things you do, could there be a stroke in my, like, what are the chances for a stroke or, a heart issue?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so why don't people do these things
I think it's
earlier?
because they don't know about it. We're one of the few places, I think, that even offers them.
Because it's very affordable. I mean, I'm looking at these packages and they're all
Right.
they're all under $200.
And we've made it that way for a reason. People they don't have insurance, or they have incredible deductibles that they have to meet first. Well, they can come and pay a cash price for the screenings. And then if there's something wrong, they can go to their doctor and have it further investigated. And the problem, too, is if you're going to run something through insurance, like a test, there has to be a reason. A doctor can't prescribe an ultrasound just because you want one. There has to be a reason. There has to be a diagnosis in order to do it. So a lot of times these tests are not available to the average person unless they do it as a way of a screening.
So I think there's probably a perception that these are also very expensive. But to Christine's point, I think in looking at the prices, it's very affordable.
Right.
And that's a message I think that we have to get out in the community, is that these
Right.
are actually very reasonable
Right.
when it comes to our healthcare, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then what we're seeing, just an example, we had a man come into one of the offices, healthy, worked out, probably 50, 55, and the tech put the probe down on his abdomen and found a 9.5 centimeter aortic aneurysm, and that's like tennis ball size. One blow to his abdomen with pushing a lawnmower or grandkids coming up or something, and it would have burst, and it takes minutes. And by the time the ambulance would have got there, it would have been too late.
Right.
And this is the stuff we see. And, the cancers, the huge masses on the liver, kidneys. We had another person come in. He turned 50, so his wife is like, you have a family history. You're going to go in and have an echo. And you know how guys are. They don't want to even think that there could be anything wrong. So he comes in, has the echo, and his ejection fraction was 32, which means that the septum of the heart was weak and it wasn't pumping right. And he had absolutely no symptoms. And so he went to a cardiologist, was on a handful of medications, and now he's doing better. It's back up to in the 50s where it should be. So
With a $150 test.
right,
Screening.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge misperception. And I had it until, quite frankly, I looked at your brochure this morning thinking these would be very expensive tests and cost prohibitive, but they absolutely are not.
Right.
Now, is any part of this ever covered by insurance?
No, not screenings.
Right.
You would have to run it through your insurance, it has to be a script from your doctor.
So if it's a script from the doctor, and if I got a script from the doctor to get a echocardiogram and I come to you, what's the difference between the testing that you run on me with a script versus the testing you'd run on me with a screening? Is there a difference?
The one with the script is a little more comprehensive, but the
Okay.
screenings are almost the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you show up to your doctor with these results and it shows something, at that point they can order
Absolutely.
a script to get more thorough tests,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So tell me about what you're doing with, you said different, companies and how that's kind of changed over the last couple of years. I think you said about actually going to businesses and offering, or
Right.
companies being offer this for their employees.
Right. Yeah, we've gone to several companies that have wanted us to come in and screen all of their employees, and it really improves morale. The employees know that the company cares. We've had some self-funded companies who self-fund their health insurance plans. So by having the employees come in and get checked and catching things early, it saves them money because it's not waiting till it's a major thing. The employee misses less time work, the better prognosis, just everything in general is so much better. And we go in, as long as we have a room that's private so that we can do the scannings, it works perfect. The employee's at their desk until it's their time. And they usually take 15 minutes to a half hour, depending upon the scan.
So that's what I was going to ask is how long do these tests typically take? So 15, 30 minutes?
Yep.
And can you get several of these screenings done in that amount of time? Or are they all different?
You probably could do like 2.5 hours, maybe 40 minutes, but you could have every one of them done if you wanted to.
So I'm getting older.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've heard is that the average age of our cardiac patients is coming down.
Right.
And I think I may have even heard that it's like into their 40s now. It's like an average age. Is that true?
Yeah, we see it younger and younger.
So what's causing that?
It's hard to say if it's our diet, if it's pollution. I've even heard some people say that COVID, if you've had COVID, it causes cardiac issues. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
And the percentage of kids also that are having issues, passing out on the football field. We see more than that. And kids aren't generally tested for cardiac problems unless there's a known issue. But a teenager, for example, before they start sports, should really have an echocardiogram because there could be a congenital defect that was never found.
And I think I've heard different hospitals, usually right before the beginning of the school year, that will offer those screenings for like football, basketball players, and they offer that just for that reason because they're finding so many young athletes with, that'll collapse in the basketball court or the football field.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing that in your screening that you do now. You're seeing a lot of younger people coming in and having problems.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yep. We don't do a lot of kids, but we do have some kids that are going to start sports that come in and have a scanning done.
And there's not a thought out there as to why this is happening and why the average age is coming down. It sounds like there could be a number of factors.
Yeah, a number of factors.
Not a prevailing issue that we've seen.
Right.
What about any other trends that you've seen kind of over your years of experience with not only heart, but whether it's the stroke or some of the other, screenings that you offer?
Well, it seems to be that we're seeing more cancers, more masses, definitely more kidney stones, gallbladder issues, thyroid problems, a whole host of different things.
That the person might feel totally fine.
You will feel totally fine a lot of times until, like, those patients that come in that we see these masses on their kidneys and stuff, that's probably stage 3, stage 4 cancer by that time. And a lot of times they don't have no idea until it gets to that point. And it's, you're talking about very intensive therapies, chemo.
Right.
All of this stuff could have been caught much earlier.
So how many different kinds of screenings do you do? I see 8 here, and I see different packages. How many different kinds can you perform?
Well, there's pretty much anywhere in the body we can do a screening. We can check for DVTs in the legs, which was another thing that COVID brought about, was blood clots, even in children.
That's what that is, a DVT?
That's
okay.
Checking for blood clots in the legs.
Okay.
Do they call that deep vein
Thrombosis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good, Tom.
Well, I think it was a problem for people who flew a lot for a while. Those things would pop up. I think if you were sedentary and some other things that,
or you drive a long distance sitting in a car, you can have that issue. We see a lot of that more in the 50 and older. As far as the stroke risk, we see that also in 50 and older.
Yeah.
But where you want to have the abdomen done, the echo done, the female reproductive one, which does the uterus and ovaries, that younger.
And that's more for younger females that maybe are wanting to get pregnant or is...
Right. Well,
okay.
all ages, actually, but predominantly those are the ones.
So let's say you're a man over the age of 50.
Mm-hmm.
Which of these would be the most important?
The echocardiogram, for sure, of the heart.
Okay.
The stroke screening, you'd want the carotid arteries checked to make sure that there's not a buildup of plaque that closes those arteries off, because that's one of the causes of strokes. Actually, you should probably have them all.
And how about for women?
The same thing. Yeah. If you're 50 and older, absolutely.
So have you've seen an increase among men with more heart issues at younger ages?
Yes.
Okay. What about with females?
Same thing.
Heart issues at a younger age?
Yep. And
Really?
and cancers, uterine issues.
I'll be darned.
And what about stroke? Do you see that more higher numbers or alarming numbers for screenings on like men versus women?
We probably see a lot more women than men,
Really?
just because men don't like to go to the doctor.
Okay.
I know my husband, I have to drag him kicking and screaming.
So generally speaking, are women better about taking care of their health
Yes.
than men?
Yeah.
So that's a message for men, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Catch this stuff earlier.
Absolutely. Don't wait until you have symptoms to go in
Right.
and have a screening done.
And what about when I'm looking at the women's health packages, it made me think, what about women who may not have great insurance and they haven't had a mammogram? Like, does this help out with, I know mammogram is probably the best way to go, right? But can you see anything with ultrasounds, or do you even do that?
Yes, we do
Okay.
breasts. Typically, if you're under 40 years old, your breast tissue is very dense, and so mammograms aren't as effective as if you are 50 and older or 40 and over when that breast tissue thins out. So if you feel any kind of lump at all, you should come in and have us do a breast
Because then you
scan,
can do
an
a scan, ultrasound on it. Okay.
Yep.
So at
And I know, obviously, Gina's family's got a lot of
Yep.
history.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife's family, they have a long history of the women in that family having breast cancer and then beating it and living it well into their 90s, if not their hundreds, with all of their faculties.
Right.
And, yeah, right, just fine. So the ultrasound
Mm-hmm.
can be more effective than a normal mammogram at a younger age?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. You want to have the mammogram and the ultrasound both,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's so dense and that the mammogram might miss something or the
But I think
ultrasound
insurance, right? Like insurance isn't going to necessarily cover a mammogram for a woman who's under 40 unless she has a long family history, right?
Right.
And so you
Right.
could come in and get an ultrasound if maybe you did feel a lump or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Well, I have to say, I mean, one of the things that was eye-opening to me is that how reasonable these prices are for these things. And I suspect there's probably group packages or things like that
Right.
if you had multiple things done. And people just aren't aware of that, because I would have thought, like I said, up until I walked in here, that this would have been cost prohibitive if it's not covered by insurance, but that's absolutely not the case.
Right. Right. And even if your doctor wants you to have one of these ultrasounds, but you don't have insurance or your deductible is really high, you can come in and have a screening done and have those results sent to your doctor and then go from there. Because it's going to be as comprehensive as having one ordered and run through your insurance.
So why is that? Why is it so much more expensive to have the same test done at a hospital? Good
Just
question.
is.
Good question, right?
Yeah, it just is.
Good question. Well, that's very interesting.
So when you come, like if UTEC wanted to offer this, and we had people, sign up for the different ones, is it the same type of, like, let's say we had a handful of people and we wanted, like, a couple of people wanted this one, a couple of people wanted this one. Is it the same equipment that you bring in and
Yes.
set up? Okay.
Yep.
So you just need a private room. You don't need a special bed or chair or anything like.
No, the tech will bring all of that with her.
Okay.
She
Okay.
has it's actually a massage table.
Okay.
Works perfect. It's portable. She brings that with her.
Okay. You just need a private room to set up and.
Yep.
So it's not done in a van or something
No.
that shows up. It's done here on site in an
Right.
office.
Yep.
And do you go to people's homes?
No, we do not do homes.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So just offices, or they can come see you.
Right.
And where's your office located?
In Waterford on Elizabeth Lake Road.
And then you said you've got radiologists and cardiologists on staff then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they're the ones who are reading these tests.
Yes.
So tell me about the process for these ultrasound tests. What
Okay.
does that look like if you're a patient?
Well, you can call us and schedule. You can go on our website and schedule an appointment, and you come in, and this is totally painless, non-invasive. You put some gel on whatever area they're ultrasounding, and like I said, you're done in like 15 to 30 minutes. There are some prep instructions that you'll need to ask. Really, the only one is if you're having an abdominal, you can't eat for 8 hours prior to the
Right.
test. An echo, there's no prep. Pelvic, you have to drink 32 ounces of water an hour before. But other than that,
It's what I would think of as a normal ultrasound.
right.
Similar equipment, similar process. They put the jelly on your whatever part that they're checking and run the machine over it and
Yes.
capture their image.
So for the stroke, and I just might be totally naive on this, but the stroke, they're still looking at then the heart for that? Or they're looking at...
They're looking at the carotid
The carotid
arteries.
artery,
Okay,
probably.
okay.
Yeah. We also
And that's
do an-
ultrasound as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We also do an EKG with that stroke protocol because AFib can cause strokes. So we're checking the heart rhythm as well.
Okay.
But if
So
you're
really,
having-
so then if you came to a business, right, a company, you'd have what, like a gown for someone to put on,
yes.
and then go through everything, and then kind of next person comes in, and is that how that looks like? If,
Yes.
for a company setting. Okay.
Yep. On some of the tests, you can just leave your clothes on.
Okay.
And some, like the echo, we have a gown that you would put on.
Okay.
And then it's real-time results.
Yes.
By the time, I mean, I don't know if necessarily while you're having it done, but shortly thereafter you're getting the results.
Yes, usually the next day we email them to you. And we can email them to you personally and your doctor if you want, or we can just send them to the patient. And one
Okay.
other question that I get sometimes from people, is the company going to see my results?
Oh, good question. Yeah.
Absolutely not. With HIPAA laws, we send them to the employee/patient.
And so even if the company were to pay for this,
Right,
they don't get to see the results.
No.
Because of privacy laws.
right.
That's good.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. Sherry, thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
out.
Welcome.
Thank you. And then why don't you shout out your website?
Oh, it's mdimichigan.com.
Okay, it's pretty easy. MDIMichigan.com.
Yep.
Great. And then if people want to get in touch with you, whether it's businesses or just an individual or families that want to schedule this, best way is just going to the website.
Yep, you
Or-
can go to the
or calling?
website,
Okay.
or if you have problems with the website, you can just call us and we'll schedule your screenings or to come out and do a company.
So they can schedule it by going to your website.
Individual appointments to come into our office. But
Okay.
if you're a company that is interested in having us come in, they can call me.
Okay.
And what's the phone number?
It's 248-681-2000.
Okay.
Terrific.
Perfect.
Sherry, thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thank you very
Oh,
much.
thank
This
you
was
for
very
having
informative.
me.
Yeah.
Very enlightening, because I really would have thought this was a lot more expensive and cost prohibitive than it really was. And that's a
Right.
message that needs to get out to people.
Absolutely. I mean, we have been doing advertising and stuff and trying to get people to realize that they can be proactive in their own health.
Right?
The way,
For minimal cost, really.
right. And the way our health system, it's a sick health care system, and it only does anything for you when you're sick.
Right.
It does nothing for preventative.
Yeah.
When you can do all of this yourself.
Yeah.
And stay ahead of it. And
Yeah.
then the cure or the treatment could potentially be a whole lot less expensive
Absolutely.
if
Yeah,
we catch
catching-
these things early.
Absolutely. Yep. And actually, save lives with
Right.
the aortic
Yeah.
aneurysms, the strokes, the cancers, all of it.
Very interesting. Sherry, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Sherry.
thank you.